We live in an increasingly polarized world. It seems like there are so few subjects these days over which people haven't already taken sides and dug deeply into their own positions about those things. And it can be kind of frustrating, and we might wonder, well, how did we come to a place like this? Well, of course, there are lots of reasons for that, but Proverbs 18:2 names what I think is a very important one. Proverbs 18:2 says this: "Fools find no pleasure in understanding, but delight in airing their own opinions." I think that's a pretty good description of a lot of what's going on these days. We take great delight in airing our own opinions and telling everyone else what we believe and therefore what they ought to believe. And yet at the same time, we don't seek to understand or even to listen sometimes to people coming from any other perspective but our own. We'd rather shout at one another or say harsh or even vile things than have a conversation in which we might come to understand one another and actually learn something. Proverbs 18:2 calls that foolish behavior. And in all honesty, we Christians can be some of the worst offenders when it comes to this kind of thing. So often, we will not listen or seek to understand at all. We just immediately start firing off Bible verses and making "I know better than you" speeches to people. But let me ask you, when did anyone ever want to listen to someone who does those kinds of things? Never, never. But you know when people sometimes do become willing to listen and interested in the positions of others? Well, it's often when we've taken the time first to listen to them, when we've taken the time first to understand them, and we've been humble about our own beliefs and positions. When we've done that, then sometimes they may ask, well, what's your perspective? Or it may be that we've simply learned the credibility to say, well, this is how I see it, and to have them actually listen to what we have to say. And by the way, you can disagree with someone and still see the merits in at least some of the things that they're saying and learn something from them. When large groups of people disagree, it is really rare when one side has 100% of the wisdom and the other side has zero. And yet, so often, we won't take the time to seek to understand or to listen to someone from a different perspective, thinking that it's possible that they may have some good points, something valuable to say that we might learn from. I want to remind us too the fact that in Jesus' day, it was the Pharisees who had this foolish disposition. They totally refused to listen to Jesus, to seek to understand or to learn from him. And sadly, they were wrong about so many things, and yet they were completely unwilling to do anything that would have helped them to see the error of their ways. That is not the mentality that we are called to have. So let's not play the fool. Let's be people who seek to listen, who seek to understand, who seek to learn from one another, and who take a humble approach with our beliefs and opinions.